Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you today like your big brother, your uncle, your friend who's been around the block a few times. I'm going to say something some of you might not like, but you need to hear it. Stop texting him and just watch what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real, and I hope you let it sink in deep. Silence is power. I'm talking about real, undeniable power. And sometimes saying absolutely nothing is the loudest, clearest message you could ever send. See, the problem these days is that we think communication is all about who talks the most, who texts first, who checks in, who responds right away. We're living in a world where everybody's so connected, they think if they ain't constantly talking, they're being ignored. But that's not true. Sometimes silence is the strongest response a woman can give. Let me break it down to you. When you keep texting a man who ain't giving you the time of day, who's inconsistent, who's giving you one-word replies or flat out ignoring you, you're not making progress. You're losing power. You are, little by little, handing over your control, your dignity, your peace of mind. And for what? For someone who ain't even making an effort? Somebody who's too busy or too casual to value what you bring to the table? But when you go silent, and I mean really silent, no good morning texts, no late night check-ins, no social media likes, no energy, you shift the entire dynamic. Because here's what happens. A man starts wondering, where did she go? Why did she stop? Was she serious? Is she going for good? Now, you're no longer the one seeking answers. You've become the question. That silence you give him, it makes noise. It starts echoing in his mind louder than anything you could have ever typed in a paragraph. You see, when a man knows he can always get access to you, when he knows no matter what he does or doesn't do, you'll be there, you'll be waiting, you'll be texting, then he has no reason to respect you. He has no reason to chase. He has no reason to step up. But the moment you remove yourself without drama, without explanation, without begging, you give him something he didn't expect, consequences. And don't get it twisted. Silence ain't weakness. It's not passive. It's not soft. It's discipline. It's restraint. It takes real strength to say nothing, especially when everything in you wants to speak, wants to fix it, wants to make it work. But sometimes the best move you can make is no move at all. Because in that stillness, in that absence, you regain clarity. You start remembering who you were before him. You start seeing things as they are, not as you wish they could be. Let me tell you something else. Silence don't just affect him, it heals you. It gives you room to think, to breathe, to realize how much of yourself you've been pouring into someone who might not even deserve a sip. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into someone else's inconsistency. You stop making excuses for somebody else's lack of effort. And that right there is the beginning of growth. I've seen women send 100 messages trying to get closure, trying to understand, trying to keep something alive that's already on life support. But the truth is, closure doesn't always come from a conversation. Sometimes it comes from your silence, from you deciding that your peace matters more than a reply, from you saying, if you can't show up for me, you don't get access to me. That's a message a man feels. That's a message that forces him to either step up and act right or step aside so you can be free. Either way, you win. And that's why I say silence is power. You ever seen a storm before it hits? It's quiet. real quiet. That's how powerful you are when you stop trying to prove yourself and just remove yourself. That's when everything shifts. So if he ain't calling, if he ain't texting, if he's playing games or showing you that he's not serious, stop talking. Don't explain, don't beg, don't chase. Just go quiet. Let your silence talk for you. And I promise you, it'll say everything you needed to say. Men are hunters by nature. That's not just some cute metaphor. It's how we're built. It's in our DNA. From the beginning of time, men have been wired to pursue what they want. We see it, we want it, we go after it. That's how it works. But the second you start chasing a man, the dynamic flips. Suddenly you're the hunter and he becomes the prey. And let me tell you something. Most men don't respect what comes too easy. We appreciate what we have to work for. The effort we put in makes us value the prize. When it drops right into our lap, we don't treat it with the same care. Think about it. You've never seen a lion in the wild sit back and wait for dinner to show up at his paws. No. It stalks. It studies. It pounces. That chase, that's where the value is. That's where the respect is built. The lion don't get bored during the hunt. He's focused. He's locked in. And when he catches it, he protects it. That's how a man feels when he's truly interested in a woman. He's consistent. He's intentional. He's showing up, not because you reminded him, but because he wants to. But too many women are out here flipping the script. They're doing the pursuing. They're initiating every conversation, planning all the meetups, texting first, texting again, and then texting again, just in case he didn't see it. That ain't how it's supposed to go. Because when you chase, you rob him of the responsibility to show you who he really is. You rob him of the opportunity to prove himself. You rob him of the part of the process that builds real appreciation. When a man has to work for a woman's time, her attention, her presence, he cherishes it. He treats it differently. He's more invested. But when you're always available, when you're always the one doing the reaching out, he doesn't feel that same urgency. He knows you're not going anywhere. And let's be honest, what reason does he have to chase something that's already waiting? Now, this ain't about playing games. This ain't about being cold or manipulative. It's about understanding how attraction works, how effort creates value. You're not being difficult by stepping back. You're not being hard to get. You're being worth the effort. If a man wants you, he'll move toward you. If he doesn't, your silence will speak volumes. You won't need to send reminders. You won't have to nudge him or hint. You won't be left wondering. Men are driven by pursuit. That's where their pride kicks in. That's where they prove their intentions. So let him chase. Let him call. Let him plan. Let him figure out how to be in your life. If you take over that job, you'll never know what he would have done on his own. And if he doesn't do anything when you stop, well, that tells you everything you need to know. You're not being too much by expecting a man to put in effort. You're setting a standard. You're showing him that you know your worth. And the right man, the one who sees your value, he won't be scared off by the chase. He'll be motivated by it. He'll rise to the occasion. You don't have to convince someone to want you. You don't have to force attention or affection. If it's real, it'll be felt. If he wants to be in your life, he'll act like it. Let him. Let him take the lead. Let him show you who he is. And while he's out there chasing you, stand still, hold your ground, and carry yourself like the prize you are, because that's exactly what you are, a prize. And real men don't play with, they protect them, they earn them, and they never let them go. Desperation will kill any chance you got before it even starts. It's like a red flag waving right in front of a man's face that says, I'm willing to settle. I'm willing to lower my standards. I'll take whatever scraps you throw my way. And let me tell you something real. That's not attractive. Not to a man who respects himself, and certainly not to a man who's looking for a woman who respects herself. Desperation screams insecurity, and insecurity repels confidence. It pushes people away instead of pulling them in. When a woman is desperate, she's willing to sacrifice her peace, her dignity, and her value just to be noticed. She'll text again when she's been left on read. She'll make excuses for behavior that's unacceptable. She'll wait around hoping for a crumb of attention that should have been given freely. That desperation comes through loud and clear in her messages, in her tone, in her actions. And no man wants to feel like he's the one holding all the power while she's begging for his time, but confidence. Now, confidence is magnetic. Confidence is the kind of energy that lights up a room before you even say a word. When a woman walks into a space knowing who she is and what she deserves, men notice. They can't help but be drawn to that kind of self-assuredness. It says, I know my worth. I'm not here to chase. If you want me, you'll come find me. And that is a whole different kind of power. Confidence doesn't mean you're arrogant or untouchable. It means you believe in yourself so deeply that you don't have to prove it to anybody. It means you don't settle for less than you deserve. It means you set boundaries and stick to them. It means you don't lose sleep over someone who isn't treating you right. And here's the kicker. Confidence doesn't just attract the right people, it repels the wrong ones. It filters out the ones who aren't serious or who don't appreciate your value. When you act desperate, you're telling a man that you don't value yourself. When you act confident, you're telling him that you know your value and you won't settle for less. And guess which message has more power? Confidence. Every time. Think about it like this. If you're in a room full of people and one person is running around trying to get everybody's attention, what happens? People start tuning them out. But if someone is calm, composed, standing tall, people naturally gravitate towards them. That's the power of confidence. It's quiet but strong. It's not about yelling louder. It's about standing firm. And confidence also gives you freedom. Freedom from needing constant validation. Freedom from anxiety about whether he'll text back. Freedom from the trap of overthinking every little thing he does or doesn't do. When you're confident, you don't waste your energy chasing after someone who doesn't see your worth. You save that energy for yourself, for your growth, your happiness, and the right person who will match your energy and respect your time. Desperation and confidence aren't just attitudes. They're choices. Every time you pick up your phone to send that extra text or wait by it for his reply, you're making a choice. Are you choosing to show desperation or confidence? Are you choosing to lower your value or raise it? Because that's exactly what you're doing, whether you realize it or not. So if you want to change how a man treats you, start with how you treat yourself. Stop giving away your power with desperate actions. Start standing in your confidence, even if it feels hard at first. Because confidence is like a magnet. It pulls in respect, love, and commitment. It makes a man want to step up, not step away. Remember, the right man won't need you to beg for his attention. He'll want to be with you because you make him better. And that only happens when you carry yourself with the kind of confidence that says, I'm worth it, I'm enough, and I'm not chasing anyone who can't see that. You ever notice how when a man is really interested in you, you don't have to remind him to call, to text, or to show up? It's almost like he's on automatic because his interest drives his actions. When a man is genuinely into you, he moves without being pushed, pulled, or prodded. He doesn't need you to keep reminding him to be present in your life. That's just how it works. If you find yourself constantly sending messages like, hey, where are you? Or why haven't you called? Or are you coming tonight? Then that's a clear sign he's not as interested as you think he is. Some women get caught up in trying to manage the relationship, trying to keep everything afloat by reminding him about plans, checking in to see if he's still coming, or sending messages just to get a response. But that's not a healthy dynamic. When you have to manage someone's attention like it's a full-time job, you're not in a relationship. You're in a state of constant anxiety and doubt. And that's exhausting. It's not love, it's not respect, it's not what you deserve. When a man wants you, he doesn't have to be reminded, he doesn't have to be chased down. He shows up because he wants to. He makes time because you're a priority. His actions come naturally and they come consistently. You don't have to wonder where you stand because he's right there, making it clear. That consistency is a form of respect, and respect is the foundation of any real connection. On the other hand, if you're always the one reaching out, always the one initiating, always the one confirming plans, then it's time to stop. Because if he cared, if he wanted to be there, he wouldn't need those reminders. You should never have to remind someone to treat you right or to show up for you. The right man will show you, not make you ask. It's important to understand that genuine interest isn't about grand gestures or constant communication all day long. It's about showing up when it matters. It's about making an effort that's visible and real. If a man can't do that, if he can't be present without you having to push him, then that's a reflection of his feelings, not yours. Many women mistake inconsistency for mystery, or think that if he's hot and cold, it means he's just playing hard to get. But really, it's a lack of commitment. If a man is truly invested, you'll see it in his actions. You won't need to guess. You won't have to question whether he's coming or whether he's thinking about you. This is not about being petty or testing him with silence just to see if he cares. This is about recognizing your worth and refusing to accept less than you deserve. It's about knowing that you deserve someone who doesn't need a checklist or reminders to make you feel special. Remember, love should feel easy, not like a constant struggle. When someone wants to be in your life, they will make it happen without you having to beg, remind, or chase. The right man will show up on his own because he values you. And if he doesn't, then maybe it's time to stop reminding and start redirecting your energy to someone who will. So the next time you catch yourself texting again to see if he's still coming or calling to confirm plans, pause and think, if he's really interested, would I even need to do this? The answer will tell you everything you need to know, and it's better to face that truth now than to keep wasting your time in your heart on someone who isn't fully there. Stop sending reminders. Stop begging for attention. Let him show up if he wants to be part of your life, because the right man will without you ever having to ask. There's something powerful that too many people don't realize. Your value does not decrease just because someone fails to recognize it. Your worth isn't tied to how often he texts you, how many times he calls, or whether he gives you the attention you think you deserve. It's not based on how many likes you get on social media or if he remembers your birthday or special moments. Your value is inherent. It's built into who you are. And no man, no matter how much you want him to, can take that away from you by ignoring you or treating you like you're not important. Far too often, women let someone else's lack of attention dictate how they see themselves. They start doubting their own worth because a man doesn't return their texts fast enough or doesn't make the effort to be consistent. But listen to me, that kind of thinking is a trap. It's a prison you build around yourself where you tie your happiness and self-esteem to somebody else's behavior. And that's a dangerous place to live. Your value isn't something that can be given or taken away by anyone else. It's not something that fluctuates depending on how interested or uninterested he is. You're valuable because of who you are. Your character, your kindness, your dreams, your strength. No man's inattention or absence can change that. When you start believing your value is dependent on his attention, you give him power over your emotions and your confidence, and that's when you start making bad decisions. Think about it like this. If you had a beautiful diamond, would it become less valuable if someone ignored it? Of course not. The diamond stays precious no matter who's looking at it or who's appreciating it. The problem comes when you let yourself be treated like the diamond is just a rock because no one is valuing it. But the truth is, you don't have to prove your worth to anybody. You don't have to convince a man to see your value. If he can, then that's on him, not on you. This mindset is crucial because it protects you from chasing after someone who isn't reciprocating. When you understand your worth is not dependent on his attention, you stop lowering your standards. You stop accepting crumbs when you deserve the whole cake. You stop begging for someone's time and effort when they should be giving it willingly. And that's how you create space for someone who truly sees and respects your value. You ever notice how the people who really love and appreciate you don't need constant reminders to do so? They show it naturally, consistently. They treat you with respect and kindness without you having to ask. That's because they recognize your worth and they don't want to lose what they have. So if a man isn't showing that kind of respect, it doesn't mean you're not worth it. It means he doesn't see your worth, and that's his loss. Remember, your value is not measured by someone else's attention or affection. It's measured by how you see yourself. If you want to be treated like a queen, you have to act like one. And queens don't beg for attention. They command it by knowing who they are and refusing to settle for less. So whenever you feel hurt because a man isn't paying enough attention, remind yourself this: you are valuable whether he notices it or not. You are worthy whether he acknowledges it or not. And you deserve to be with someone who sees that from the very beginning and treats you accordingly. Don't let someone else's lack of interest make you question your own worth. Hold your head high, walk with confidence, and never forget, the right person will come along who won't need convincing, who won't need you to chase, and who will show you the respect and attention you've always deserved, because your value is timeless and it never depends on anyone else's ability to see it. Sometimes the best thing you can do for yourself and for the situation is to stop texting him altogether. Just stop. It may feel uncomfortable at first. You might feel tempted to send that one more message, that one more, hey, what's up, or why didn't you answer? But when you resist that urge, you create space. Space to breathe, space to think, space to understand what's really going on. Taking a break from texting isn't just about silence. It's about reclaiming your power, your peace, and your perspective. When you're constantly texting someone who's inconsistent or indifferent, you lose yourself in the process. You start overanalyzing every word, every pause, every emoji. You wonder if you said too much or too little, if you scared him off or pushed him away. That back and forth anxiety can mess with your head and make you forget who you are outside of that phone screen. But when you stop texting, even if just for a little while, you pull back from all that noise and pressure. Suddenly you can see things clearer. Taking a break gives you the clarity to understand your own feelings. Are you texting because you genuinely want to connect? Or are you texting because you're afraid of losing him? Are you hoping he'll change? Or are you ready to accept the reality of how he's treating you? When you pause the conversation, you give yourself a chance to answer those questions honestly without the distraction of constant notification. That clarity is crucial because it helps you decide what's best for you moving forward, not what you're afraid might happen if you stop texting. But it's not just about what you learn about him, it's about what you learn about yourself. When you step back, you remember your own worth. You remember that you deserve respect and consistency, and that those things aren't optional. They're essential. You realize you don't have to keep chasing after someone who doesn't prioritize you. You learn that your time and energy are valuable, and that spending them on someone who doesn't reciprocate is a waste. Taking a break also changes the way he sees you. When you stop texting, you stop being so available. You create a boundary that says, I'm not here to be taken for granted. And believe me, boundaries command respect. When a man realizes you're not always just a text away, he starts to pay more attention. Suddenly, your silence becomes a signal that you're serious about how you expect to be treated. It makes him question whether he's doing enough, whether he's taking you for granted, whether he's truly invested. And sometimes that's exactly what it takes to get him to show up the way you deserve. Of course, taking a break isn't a magic trick that makes everything perfect overnight. It's not about playing games or punishing him. It's about giving yourself the space to heal, to reflect, and to reset. It's about creating a healthier dynamic, one where you're respected, not chased, one where you're chosen, not begged for. And when you come back from that break, if he's really interested, he'll be there. He'll notice the difference in your energy, the change in your boundaries, and he'll have to step up or step out. Sometimes the greatest act of love you can give yourself is the courage to stop chasing, to stop texting, to stop trying to control something that's out of your hands. When you do that, you find freedom. Freedom from anxiety, freedom from disappointment, freedom from the endless cycle of doubt. And with that freedom comes peace. And with peace comes strength. So if you find yourself stuck in a pattern of texting him over and over without much in return, try this. Stop for a moment, take a break, Give yourself permission to disconnect from that constant back and forth. Watch what happens when you do. Because sometimes the best way to get the respect and clarity you need is by simply stepping back and letting silence do the talking.